Most teams draft players, the Spurs build them. And now, they're doing it again. It's a franchise built on tradition, structure, and passing things down. This is Gregg Popovich after his stroke, 77 years old, moving with difficulty, visibly aged. Even so, he still shows up at practice, personally guiding Victor Wembanyama through drills. The system was built by him, and he stayed long enough to pass it on. But now, they share one mission: to lift Wembanyama up and help him lead San Antonio back to glory. Tony Parker was the first Spur to build a real connection with Wembanyama, the one who opened the door to basketball for him and linked him to the Spurs' future. Before the world knew Wembanyama, Tony Parker saw what he could become. The story begins in the summer of 2018, in a gym on the outskirts of Paris. At the time, French NBA player Nicolas Batum, then with the Charlotte Hornets, noticed a 14-year-old who already stood over 6.8 feet tall. What stood out wasn't just the height, it was how fluid he was. Behind-the-back dribbles, pull-up jumpers, guard skills with no stiffness at all. On defense, his anticipation was far beyond his age. On offense, he could dominate inside and still space the floor with a shot. Batum was stunned. He immediately called Parker, excitedly telling him he had found a hidden gem, the future of French basketball. Wembanyama's coordination, he said, was unlike anything he had ever seen. As a legend of French basketball, Parker, already retired and running ASFL at the time, trusted Batum's eye completely. He dropped everything and drove straight to the gym. Watching Wembanyama in person, even a Spurs legend who had seen it all was blown away by the teenager's talent. In 2021, Parker made a bold decision, signing 17-year-old Wembanyama to his ASFL club. On the practice floor, Parker often worked with him directly, refining his game step by step. He would watch Spurs film with Wembanyama, explaining Popovich's system and the essence of team basketball. He didn't just recognize the talent, he understood what it could become. Parker became the bridge between Wembanyama and the Spurs, connecting a young prospect in France to a culture built in San Antonio. Gradually, the Spurs' DNA was planted in the mind of this young French prospect. When Parker realized Wembanyama was developing faster than expected, he made a selfless decision. He sent him to Metropolitans 92, managed by former Spur Boris Diaw, to give him more playing time and a bigger role, preparing him for the NBA. And when the time came, he didn't hold him back, he pushed him forward. Because Parker knew, this wasn't just about development, it was about preparing him for where he truly belonged. Before the 2023 draft, Parker strongly recommended Wembanyama to the Spurs, arranging multiple meetings and helping bring him into the San Antonio family. If Parker was the guide, then Popovich, the old master, became the toughest and warmest mentor on Wembanyama's journey. He's seen dynasties rise and fall, watched legends come and go, and chose to stay for one more chapter, not to rebuild the Spurs, but to shape the next one. When Wembanyama first entered the NBA, despite his generational talent, he struggled with physicality and complex systems. In his debut against the Dallas Mavericks, he recorded 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. There was promise, but also clear signs of inexperience and a lack of strength. After the game, Popovich didn't criticize him, nor did he overpraise him. Instead, he sat beside him and said, "Talent is a gift, but only when you learn how to use it, and how to fit into a team, can you become truly great. I don't need you to be the next Tim Duncan. I need you to be the first Victor Wembanyama." On the practice court, even in his 70s, Popovich still demonstrated defensive positioning and footwork himself. He demanded precision, in help defense timing, in communication on switches. He ignored outside criticism about results, carefully managing Wembanyama's minutes to prevent overuse and injury. After games, he would talk with him about details on the court, about life off it, using his own experience to ease pressure and shape his mindset. With Wembanyama, he's not just coaching a player, he's passing down everything he knows about the game, about leadership, and about what it takes to carry a franchise. Under Popovich's guidance, Wembanyama grew rapidly, from a raw rookie into a player capable of carrying a team. And within this structure, there is also a silent guardian, Tim Duncan. And then there's Tim Duncan, not loud, not visible, but always there. After retiring, Duncan never really left the Spurs. He stayed as an assistant coach, quietly watching over the franchise he gave his entire career to. He often appears at practice, sitting quietly on the sideline, watching every move Wemby makes. Whenever Wemby struggles in the post or with positioning, Duncan steps in, not with speeches, but with repetition, again and again, until it clicks. Everything he teaches comes from experience: how to use your body, how to stay balanced through contact, how to read the game without rushing it. He's not trying to change Wemby, he's making sure he doesn't lose himself in the process. When Wemby faces injuries, Duncan is there immediately, sharing his own journey of overcoming setbacks and making it back to the top. He teaches him how to recover properly, and how to stay mentally strong during rehab. When Wemby falls into self-doubt, Duncan offers quiet but unwavering support. This kind of silent mentorship is understated, but powerful. The story of Wembanyama and the Spurs is a two-way destiny. It is the dream of a young player, and the weight of a legacy. In just 3 years, Wembanyama has undergone a remarkable transformation. He is leading the Spurs out of rebuilding, giving San Antonio hope of rising again.